Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're taking a look at something that's been in the news a lot lately and is kind of freaking me out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, technology and privacy.
Hmm.
Specifically, how those two things kind of bump into the nature of reality itself.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's heady stuff.
Yeah.
And we've got a ton of sources for this deep dive. Interview snippets, some research articles that are really out there.
Out there, how?
Well, like, on the cutting edge.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And even some patent filings that are wild.
Sounds like fun.
Our mission today is to figure out if our thoughts are really private anymore with all this crazy tech around us.
Well, we might even bump into a little philosophy along the way.
Oh, I love when things get a little existential. So, okay, one of the sources we've got for today claims that smartphones are already using brainwaves to target ads at us. Is this like a Black Mirror episode or what? Is that even possible?
It's not as far-fetched as it sounds.
Really?
Yeah. Directly reading complex thoughts, like picturing a bicycle.
Oh.
That's still pretty early stage.
Okay.
But brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, they are developing incredibly fast.
Okay, so less Professor X and more like, what, baby steps towards thought-reading tech?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
But those baby steps are getting bigger.
How so?
Well, Apple.
Yeah.
They filed a patent for AirPods that can scan brain activity.
AirPods. Really?
Yeah, right through your ear canal.
Wow.
And Meta.
Facebook.
Yeah, Meta. They're exploring a smartwatch, but with a neural interface.
So in a few years, my headphones will know I'm craving tacos before I do.
Pretty much.
That's both cool and kind of creepy.
Yeah, it really blurs the line, doesn't it?
The term.
Between convenience and control, right?
Yeah.
Like imagine your devices predicting your moods, your wants, shaping your choices before you've even consciously made them.
Whoa.
Where does free will even begin?
That's a good question.
Right.
And that's where it gets unsettling.
Yeah.
And speaking of lines being blurred,
Yeah.
it looks like lawmakers are trying to catch up with all this Colorado and California. They've both passed laws to protect something called neurodata.
Interesting.
And they're treating it as sensitive as fingerprints.
I see.
That seems big, like really
It
big.
is a huge step, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for the first time, thoughts and emotions, they're being recognized as valuable data,
Like
a new kind of currency.
Whoa, that's scary.
Think about the implications, right? Like the company's buying and selling data on your hopes, your anxieties.
So it's not just about what we do online anymore,
Right.
but what we think offline, too.
Exactly.
That's a bit scary.
And it's not just about knowing your thoughts.
No.
No, it's about the possibility of manipulating them without your consent.
Oh, no.
Yeah. One privacy advocate we read, Rafael Eustace,
Okay.
he said companies are already sharing brain data.
They are.
They collect it
Wow.
and share it with third parties. Yeah, he's pushing hard for more regulation and fast.
Yeah, that's a whole other level of Big Brother I hadn't even considered.
Right. It's not just about tracking what we buy. It's potentially influencing what we even desire to buy.
That's messed up.
Yeah. And that leads us to an even more mind-bending idea from our sources.
Lay it on me.
Scientists have actually managed to decode a volunteer's silent thoughts.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Like, they could hear what the person was thinking without them saying anything out loud.
Pretty much.
That feels straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, doesn't it?
Is that even real?
Well, the technology is still in its early stages.
Okay.
Right now, they can pick up on basic ideas and concepts, but full-blown mind reading,
Yeah.
still a ways off.
Okay.
But the implications are huge, right?
How so?
Well, imagine helping people with communication difficulties,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Helping them express themselves.
That's the good side, for sure.
But what about the potential for abuse?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Interrogation, thought surveillance.
Yes.
It's a double-edged sword, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And it forces us to ask, what level of access to our thoughts are we comfortable with? Where do we draw the line?
This whole conversation is giving me serious Matrix vibes.
Really?
Yeah. You know that whole question of whether we're living in a simulation?
Yeah.
One of the sources even mentions this idea of a residual self-image,
What's that?
like our digital selves somehow bleeding into our consciousness.
Interesting.
So are we literally living in the Matrix?
Well, we're not literally living in the Matrix.
Oh.
At least not as far as we know.
Okay, good.
But the question of what constitutes reality,
Yeah.
that's something philosophers have wrestled with for centuries.
Okay, but is there any, like, scientific basis for this matrix connection?
Believe it or not, there might be.
Really?
Yeah. One source discusses the work of this physicist, James S. Gates.
Okay.
He found these things called adinkras.
Adinkras.
Yeah. Which are basically error-correcting codes, but embedded within string theory equations.
String theory.
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate physics head-scratcher, right?
It's pretty complex.
Can you explain that in a way my brain can actually process?
Okay, think of it this way. String theory.
Okay.
It tries to explain what the universe is made of at the most fundamental level.
Okay.
And what Gates found was that at this super tiny foundational level, there are structures that look shockingly similar to computer code.
So you're telling me there's computer code woven into the fabric of the universe?
It appears so.
That's mind-blowing. Does this mean we really are living in a simulation?
Well, scientists are still trying to figure out what it all means,
Okay.
but it does raise some seriously profound questions
About?
about the nature of reality and our place in it, right?
Yeah.
If reality itself is a kind of code,
Mm-hmm.
does that change how we think about free will
Yeah.
and determinism?
Yeah.
It's pretty wild to think about, isn't it?
Totally wild. We've been talking a lot about technology and the potential blurring of reality, but one of our sources takes a different approach.
Oh, yeah.
It focuses on the power of our thoughts to shape our own reality.
Okay.
It emphasizes human creation and evolution. Like, it shifts the focus from external tech to our own internal power.
Interesting.
It is fascinating. It delves into concepts that are often associated with, spirituality and personal growth. Things like astral projection and freeing the mind.
Astral projection, isn't that like where your soul leaves your body and travels around?
Right.
I've always thought that was more mystical than anything.
Me too, but this source claims it's real. So are we supposed to take all this literally?
That's a good question.
Or is there a deeper message we should be getting from it?
It seems like the core message is that our consciousness might be more than just our physical brain.
So more than just the gray matter between our ears.
Right, exactly. And that our thoughts and intentions can have a power and influence beyond what we traditionally understand.
So even if we don't literally project ourselves out of our bodies,
Yeah.
the idea is that our thoughts can still have a real impact on our reality.
That's the idea. It ties into this concept of manifestation,
Manifestation.
which our source also explores.
What is that?
It suggests that our thoughts and emotions, they can interact with something called the quantum field.
The quantum field.
Yeah, to actually create our reality.
Okay, full disclosure. Quantum physics makes my head spin a little.
It's pretty complex, yeah.
Can you break down the whole quantum field thing in a way that makes sense for someone who isn't a physicist?
Okay, imagine a vast ocean of possibilities where every wave represents a potential outcome. Our thoughts and emotions are like ripples in this ocean, influencing the patterns that emerge.
I can visualize that.
Yeah.
So if we focus our thoughts and emotions on what we want, we can actually draw those experiences to us from this ocean of possibilities.
That's the essence of manifestation.
Wow.
Aligning our energy with our desires to bring about the reality we envision.
So it's not just about positive thinking.
Right.
It's about our thoughts and emotions actually having a measurable impact on the world around us.
That's what some people believe.
Okay.
And while the mechanics of how this works are still being debated,
Yeah.
there's a growing body of evidence suggesting that our thoughts and emotions have a much greater influence on our reality than we might realize.
That's pretty incredible. So we've got technology potentially reading our minds, and we have the potential to shape reality with our own thoughts.
Yeah.
This deep dive is getting pretty deep.
It is, isn't it? Makes you wonder what kind of reality we're all creating, you know, with all this power.
Yeah, and it circles back to all this tech we were talking about. If companies and devices can potentially tap into our brainwaves, are we just like handing over the keys to our own minds?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
The potential for manipulation and control.
Yeah.
You know, it's a real thing.
It is.
Think about it. If someone can influence your desires, what does that do to your sense of free will?
Yeah.
Autonomy.
Right. Like, our thoughts are supposed to be our most private space.
Yeah.
But if that space is no longer secure, that's a whole other level of vulnerability.
Exactly. Which is why those privacy laws we mentioned,
Right.
those are so important.
Yeah.
It's about setting boundaries, drawing a line in the sand and saying, this far, no further.
Digitally, yeah.
Yeah, we need clear regulations in this tech landscape, and we need them fast.
I totally agree. It feels like we need a whole new set of ethics for this digital age.
Yes.
Like something that protects our inner world as much as our outer world.
I couldn't agree more. As we move further into this realm of, BCIs and all this neurotech,
Yeah.
ethics need to be front and center,
Absolutely.
right alongside the scientific advancements.
It's not just about what we can do.
It's about what we should do.
Right? That's a good point.
We need to be mindful of the consequences,
Yeah.
both intended and unintended.
It's like we're so focused on the cool factor
Right.
that we sometimes forget to ask the hard questions.
Totally. It's about creating a future where technology empowers us
Yeah,
and not controls us,
for sure.
where we use it to enhance our humanity, not erode it.
That's a future I want to be a part of.
Right.
It's not about rejecting technology. It's about shaping it to serve our best interests, individually and collectively.
We're all embarking on this journey together, right? Figuring out this complex dance between technology, our minds, and what it even means to be human in this digital age.
Speaking of journeys, this deep dive has taken us on quite a ride. We've gone from AirPods reading our minds to the universe potentially being made of code.
Crazy, right?
We've talked about the risks of tech overreach and the need for new ethical guidelines. And then just when I thought we were deep enough, we went even deeper into the potential power of our own thoughts.
And through it all, the thread that ties it together is this question of consciousness.
Consciousness, yeah.
How do we protect it?
Right.
How do we cultivate it?
And how do we use it, both individually and collectively,
Right.
to shape a reality that aligns with our deepest values and aspirations?
It's like with all this talk about technology, we've also uncovered something incredibly empowering about the human spirit.
Totally.
It's a reminder that even in this tech-driven world, we still have agency.
I like that.
We have a choice in how we engage with technology. And we have the power to shape our own reality through our thoughts, our intentions, and our actions.
Definitely a lot to think about.
Yeah, but before we get too lost in existential contemplation, let's bring it back to our listeners.
Yes, let's give them something to chew on.
Okay.
If our thoughts are truly this powerful, what kind of world do we want to create? Both individually and collectively, what kind of future are we inviting into being?
Right.
With every thought, every choice, every action.
It's a big question.
It is.
But an important one.
For sure.
It invites us to step into our role as conscious creators. Right. Choose our thoughts wisely and harness the power of our minds to manifest a future that is not only fulfilling for ourselves, but beneficial for all.
Those are wise words to end on.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time.
Yeah.
It really is exciting.
It is.
And a little terrifying.
Yeah, all at the same time.
I know, right? It's like we're standing on the edge of all these breakthroughs.
Yeah.
But we have to be careful not to lose sight of what makes us human.
That's true. You know, it keeps coming back to me that technology itself, it isn't the problem.
No, it's a tool.
Right.
Like a hammer.
Yeah.
You can build a house with it.
Right.
Or you can use it to cause harm. Right.
Right. Yeah.
The power lies in the intention of the user.
That makes sense. So how do we make sure that we're using these powerful new technologies like BCIs for good?
Well, it all starts with awareness.
Okay.
Like we have to educate ourselves about the potential impact of this technology.
Be both good and bad.
Yeah. The positive and the negative, for sure. And ask hard questions. Data privacy, informed consent, and the potential for misuse.
That seems like a huge responsibility.
It is.
And not just for scientists and developers, but for all of us.
It is. We need to be having open and honest conversations
about
the kind of future we want to create.
Right. Like, what are our values?
Exactly.
Where do we draw the line?
Yeah. And how do we ensure that technology serves humanity?
Rather than the other way around.
Exactly.
We've talked about the potential downsides of BCIs. But what about the good stuff?
Oh, yeah.
There must be some incredible possibilities.
Absolutely. Imagine a world where people with paralysis can control prosthetic limbs with their thoughts,
Whoa.
or individuals with locked-in syndrome,
Yeah.
they can finally communicate with their loved ones.
That's amazing.
It's a good reminder that technology can be an incredible force for good.
It really can.
It can also help us understand our own minds better,
Right.
BCIs can provide insights into how our brains work, potentially leading to breakthroughs in treating,
What?
mental health conditions,
Oh, wow.
cognitive disorders.
So while we need to be cautious about the risks, we shouldn't let fear overshadow the potential benefits.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot,
Between.
harnessing the power of technology
Yeah.
while safeguarding our humanity.
And maybe that's where the power of thought comes in?
Maybe so.
How so?
Well, if we cultivate a mindset of awareness, intention, and responsibility, we can navigate this whole technological landscape more effectively. We can make conscious choices about how we engage with technology.
Making sure it aligns with our values.
Exactly, and aspirations.
So it's not just about protecting ourselves from technology. It's about using it to create a better world.
Precisely.
We need to evolve our consciousness alongside our technology.
Embrace the possibilities.
Yeah.
While remaining grounded in our humanity.
That's a beautiful way to put it. This deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
Thanks.
Thanks for sharing your insights and for guiding us through this crazy terrain.
My pleasure. And to our listeners.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration.
And until next time.
Keep questioning, keep learning, and keep creating the reality you desire.